Oh, hey YouTube. Um, I know this thing's working. I know it's working. I believe the microphone is working, so I'm not going to carry on and speak loud because of the reverb. Um, the last video I did today didn't work for some reason when I checked it. Um, I don't know why YouTube does that because it's not my end. Okay, I do the screen share and then it just goes black and it doesn't actually show anything. Like you can't see, it just becomes an audio of just my voice. Like you can't even see the videos that I'm watching, so you can see my reaction to the videos. Like I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. But in this video, we're not going to do any of that because one, I don't want this video to be a pain in the like like that, and secondly, because we don't really need to. This is just more of a talky video, so it's more whatever you want to call it. But look, my perspective is this. I'm not doing an Alex Jones here, okay, people? You got to think about it like this. All right, so when was the invention of microplastics? And I'm going to just Google that. Uh, let's have a look because I actually don't know. When was plastic bottles the most common one invented? Da, da, da. 1977 they became popular. Okay, so from 1977 onwards, and also if you look at the testosterone levels in males and the drop, they'll say from the 60s onwards down, the testosterone in males, for whatever reason, has dropped down. I don't know why that is. I don't even know if that's true. Well, I guess it's true. I don't know what the sample size is for that. Like, I don't know. So, I mean, I know a lot of, like, I work in an industry where there's big dudes, and trust me, they low on testosterone, so I don't know. But and I've seen my fair share of, I would say actually that people going to the gym has increased. So I don't know about that. Like I mean, I wouldn't say that there's smaller guys out there with weaker bodies. I just don't get that impression. Um, Maybe your guess is as good as mine, but look, there is more people out there for sure. So maybe percentage-wise, there's more weaker males. I like we're talking like physically weaker, like not like mentally or emotionally or whatever. Like we're just talking like what we observe, nothing more than that. And anyway, yeah. So the invention of microplastics was 1977, and you got to remember, like, destroying society is not like a one-day event, like Caligula did by setting, or was it Nero did, setting fire to Rome. Um, uh, so it's nothing like that. It'll be like boiling a frog, like global warming. You know, like you'll never notice it until it's like too late, and then you're like, oh, this is bad, right? So that's basically how the downfall of Western society will go. So, and you can tell that this has happened with, say, the push on plastic bottles, because countries that use a lot of plastic bottles, you know, they suffer a lot more health problems. Like you'll see an uptick in dementia. You'll see people's brains, like I guess you could say development is a lot less. I mean, you can particularly see that with the female side of things in Western society. They must drink a lot of plastic, but like you generally see like that the maturity of the brain, and it used to be that. I'm going to give you an example regarding the females. Is the females were supposedly more mature by the age of between 15 and 25 than a male on average. Okay, mentally mature we're talking, not just physically. But in today's society, it's the complete opposite. Okay, you can clearly see that the males are far more mature than the females mentally. They can handle a lot more. Well, they used to be. I don't know. Like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, my guess. Look. This needs to be investigated by science, and they need to get the average people in areas where plastic is used significantly. Like, look at the marketing trends of where plastic is sold most, and see the effects on the brain, because that's basically where the damage is being done. Now, you can say it's being done in other areas too. I guess the liver processes a lot of waste and tries to remove waste. Like, so the liver and the kidneys will do that. But in most cases, yeah, I think you would see a big build-up in these kind of areas. Look, I mean, people could say it's an uptake of drugs, but like, what actually puts people on a path to drugs? It's a bad society. So society, if when I'm licking my lips, it's because my lips are dry. Okay, that's why they're very dry. And you might say, drink some water then, Steve. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So there's been like a look. That's a society thing, all right. I have heard health experts say that they don't believe that drugs are like a mental illness. I believe that those two go hand in hand. Like, see someone with a major mental illness, chances are they've used drugs or going to take drugs or have used drugs, and they use them regularly, and they suffer like psychosis and all kinds of messed up stuff because of drugs, or they've had their brain like completely messed up because of drugs. And you can't tell me that's normal. It's not a normal thing a regular person would want to do to themselves. So yeah, that's a society thing, because drugs are escape. But plastic bottles are not. They're just plastic bottles. You drink them with your cool drink or water, or you have your food stored in plastic. Okay, and when you heat your food up or whatever in the plastic, and then we all do it. I do it. Like, everyone does it, because that's just convenience, and it's what you got. Like, that's what we've got access to. You're not going to have glass everywhere. It's just expensive. So, yeah. So, from what I reckon that microplastics are the reason that we're seeing a drop in testosterone in males, and we're seeing more brain-related injuries because of like that. We can't really figure out why it's happening. It makes sense. You see the timeline of events, and it all fits to microplastics. And microplastics are basically the residue from plastic. Because obviously, you're not going to just eat plastic. Who's going to eat plastic? That's done. So it will be what you've, like, say you've heated something up, and then it's come into the food product or the drink product, and then you've swallowed it. Thing is, something like that is artificial, so your body's not really going to just get rid of it. It doesn't know what to do with it, so it'll just kind of float around and do whatever. So, and plastic, if you don't know, is actually a product of petroleum. So I guess you could say it is maybe petroleum-related illnesses caused by plastics, because it is the same thing. I don't know that there's a way to get rid of that, to be honest with you. Like, maybe if you looked at mechanics from back in the day and, high exposures to petroleum or like refinery work or something, and seeing if there's like an uptake of illnesses that are related to that. I guess, like, if the refinery illnesses from back in the day before safety procedures and they had high exposure rates, so you see what happened to those people, and then go, right, is that happening to today's people on a macro level? Like, are we seeing that? I reckon you probably say, yeah, actually, I think you're right. Like, I think we are seeing shit like that. Like, it's definitely, look, it's been proven there are microplastics in people's brains. They've seen it with scans and stuff. I don't know how, but they're like, yeah, like, I guess like they do like the CT scan or the MRI or whatever. I don't know exactly, but yeah, I'm guessing like doctors somewhere have seen it somewhere, and that's why they've made a note on it. As to the precursor damage, I don't know, but look, dementia itself is basically something that we know what the cause of dementia. Well, we don't know what the cause of dementia is, but we know what it is. So like it's basically Lewy bodies, the build up of plaques in your brain. So I think it's the stuff you get on your teeth, and it's in your brain, and then that short wires your brain. So your brain has to make new pathways to get to that memory or to that note, or use that part of the brain or whatever. Like it's basically roadblocks. It's just a bunch of roadblocks. That's what dementia is. Isn't really a medication or anything, food additive or food you can eat that will get rid of that. Not that we know of yet. So if there's anyone out there that wants to have a crack at that, by all means, that is going to be with an aging population, that is going to be the main issue with people going forward. It probably won't be cancer, it will be, dementia. Like, how do we deal with dementia? Because there'll be a lot of people that are like walking zombies as no one to look after them, and they don't know what they're doing, and basically there's just a lot of carnage everywhere. But yeah, feel free to have a crack at that when you want. I don't know specifically if there's anything that'll fix that. The other major thing that happens to people with aging is obviously the breakdown of mitochondria. People talk about reversing aging. What they're talking about is reversing it. You can't stop it because it's on a DNA level. Basically, mitochondria is like, it breaks down. Like the telomeres on the thingy it just falls apart, and when the mitochondria becomes less efficient at what it does, and that's basically why you see like more shaggy skin and things like that. Like things just aren't efficient anymore. They don't work. But they're also, humans aren't really meant to live that long. Like, we're not. Like, I know you guys want to live forever and all that rubbish, but I mean, reality is, if you live and you die, that's it. There's not really much else to it than that. So when your time's up, it's up, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's just that's what happens. So So look, all I can say is, my guess is it's just nature's way of controlling how long humans live. I mean, that's it. Like, there's nothing, like, you've got that guy, Brian Johnson, same name as the AC/DC singer, obviously not the AC/DC singer, but yeah, he think, he wants to experiment on himself and turn back the clock, but reality is it's just, it won't do anything. Like, he might be able to make himself more healthy, and I've no doubt he probably can do that. And he probably remain in good health if he looks after himself for a long time, maybe longer than most. But the thing is, you can't change what is. The only thing I will say is, the reason why we're saying microplastics in downfall society is because ever since microplastics have been around, you see a decline in culture, in family values, in behaviors. Like, you see an uptake of gay people. I would say, look, it ain't the water turning frogs gay. It's even such a thing. No. It's microplastic, guys. It's microplastics. When you've got these, like, I reckon they're causing like blockages on the cellular level of some kind, or affecting people in some way. I wouldn't be all that surprised if someone said, look, hey, it is what it is. Like, it used to be gay people were like a 5% of the population, maybe less. Now it's like 20%, right? So why is that? And people will say, oh yeah, it's because they can be more open and free about it. It's like, yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. It just seems odd. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it or anything. I'm just, you got to look that maybe there is a cause and effect for this. Like, maybe there is a reason. I'm not saying you can change people. I'm just saying, look, there's got to be a reason, and it has to be looked at. And maybe it's all natural. Maybe, perhaps. I mean, there's no reason to say it's not. But I don't look. Plastic wasn't natural. Okay, we invented plastic, and ever since the invention of plastic, you do see a cultural shift. Okay, culturally, society just keeps declining. All right, that's obvious. All right, culturally, family values are in the toilet. All our values. Look, the Australia I grew up in, right, and I would have said I would have fought for this country years ago. Like, if a war had come to us, I would have fought. But nowadays, hell no. I would not fight for this country. You don't stand for a single thing that I stand for. So why would I want to fight for you guys? It's simple as that. I wouldn't. You're crazy. I would never. I'd fight for my family and friends, and that's it. And you know what? I would say, look, that's what you guys have done. You know, you pandered to Islam. You pandered to subcultures like homosexuals, and you pandered to this and that, and you threw away all the things that made this country great because you didn't take the silent majority's voice. You just thought, oh, well, those minorities are the loudest, so therefore they're the only ones that matter. No, the people that voted for you are the ones that matter. That's the 99% of population, okay, or whatever it is, whatever the silent majority actually works out to be. But personally, I think all of this train of thought, this bait, like all of this, it's all down to microplastics. That's what I think. I think there has to be a cause and effect. You don't do something and then get no reaction, right? That's just not chemistry. Like, chemistry always requires a reaction, right? A balance of sorts, or something to happen. So you can't add something and then expect nothing. So what are the effects of microplastics? So I'm saying, hypothetically, I am saying, so I have no proof. This is just my hypothesis. You take it with a grain of salt. Uptake in homosexuality because of plastic, mental and cultural decline, mental maturity decline, so a major effect on the brain and the development of the pituitary glands and humans and whatnot. The lowering of testosterone in males, not sure about the estrogen in females, maybe has an effect there. And I don't know what that would mean, whether there's an uptake and more testosterone in females or whatnot, I don't know. Interesting, really. I mean, if it affects the males in such a way, why wouldn't it affect the females in the same? I mean, it makes sense. The other thing is, what were the causes to workers who worked in the olden days, on refineries that didn't have safety procedures and were exposed to high levels of toxins from the petroleum? What were their medical conditions? And are we seeing that on a macro level today? That would be the study, I would say. Actually, let's Google that. Let's see if there actually is. What were the effects of high-level toxicity of petroleum humans? Well, Google says high levels from petroleum exposure can cause a range of serious health issues. Neurological effects, I was right, it does affect the brain, like headaches, well, that I wasn't expecting, and dizziness. Oh, actually, no, that makes sense, yeah. As well as cardiovascular, respiratory, and gastro problems. Long-term exposure can lead to chronic conditions such as liver damage and potential carcinoma, also cancer. Specific effects can be based on the type of petroleum. Okay, so it's basically saying they're not really looking at a mental side, but physically it does have effect. Like, they can have like physical effects. let's go with plastic. Okay. So it's saying if you have high levels of plastics, so your endocrine, which is like your immune system disruption, respiratory problems, so breathing, neurologically typical symptoms, effects on the brain, and increased risk of certain cancers. So very similar to the petroleum products. Neurological states. Yeah, it's all pretty much the same sort of yeah, it's pretty much saying that the effects from petroleum are basically the same as plastics if you have high level exposure. I'm guessing they're talking about the fumes from plastics, because obviously plastic itself isn't going to get into your bloodstream normally, but if you burn it, the fumes will vapor into you and become toxic. So that would be my guess there. Makes sense. Obviously, it's got to make sense. We're talking, yeah. Look, and this has to be like an ordinary reasoning for things to happen. And look, in countries like Africa and countries like Asia and that, where they don't have access to clean water, plastic bottles are used a lot more. I mean, they don't have a choice. It's like, look, you can drink the dirty water we got, but you'll need filters, a lot of filters and cleaning of that water to use it. So, yeah, good luck. They're expensive versus buy a cheap plastic water bottle. All right, done. So, yeah, so look, that's it. Like with that, like, that's all I can say is like, look, would we be better off going back to glass or using some sort of cardboard product? I don't know. Like, if you had a cardboard product with a plastic, like, or with some sort of like wax lining, so that it was like, hydrophobic kind of thing, maybe. But would people be preferring a bottle like that? I don't know. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Personally, look, I would say, look, microplastics are definitely a significant change in our society. And I believe that it has made a significant change to human behavior and biology. So I 100% think there should be a real study done on it. Maybe the CDC could do a study on it, or I'm trying to think like who deals with this kind of thing. Obviously, it's going to be someone that deals with human contaminations and human like health. So you'd need like doctors, probably endocrine doctors and things, and mental doctors and things like that. Like things like people that know what they're looking for with this kind of thing, and people prepared to like do scans on people's brains, like look at like okay, this person's got this condition. Let's give them a full looky over and see what's going on, like physically, and see if there actually is like a physical reason for all of this. And obviously, the other thing is you have to look at is, can you do that on a large population? Probably not. It'd be hard to do it on an. Look, all I would say is to do it on like a scale test on a large population. You'd have to go. We want to do blood work on a large population, so blood tests, and we would want to see like large population who uses plastic water bottles, and versus population that doesn't use plastic water bottles. I mean, they wanted to move away from, I think it was, I'm trying to think, they went away from plastic spoons when I was nursing to wooden spoons, and they're disgusting. But I always wondered, like, why do that? Like, why not just use metal spoons? You could wash a metal spoon. Everyone has metal spoons. Why not just buy more metal spoons and you have your problem solved? It tastes disgusting. Like, honestly, putting wood in your mouth as a spoon, foul, especially if you're trying to give someone medication. Like, medication on its own is foul. Tastes like ass. So, putting that on wood is like, yeah, use that. Like, they're going to be like, It's disgusting. I'll say that much. It's not something anyone wants to do. So yeah, you just use metal, guys. Just use metal spoons. Metal. Mm. Yeah, if you don't want to use plastic spoons, okay, but don't use wood, guys. Wood is gross. Like putting wood in your mouth is gross. That's all I'll say about that. There. Yeah. So yeah. So look, I don't know what you guys also think about this topic, but look, there's yeah, it'd be interesting. Look, and being plastics as they are, I wonder if there'd be an uptake of kidney disease. To be honest, because if plastics are blocking up parts in the brain, you know, pathways being disrupted because of like microplastics, why wouldn't it affect the kidneys, which filter your blood? Like, why wouldn't it do that? Of course it would. Like, everything goes hand in hand with the body. Like, one part helps another. One part works with another. It's just how it is. So, yeah. Anyway, I think I'll wrap this one up, guys. I've got to do some cooking before I go to bed, and if I don't get started now, it's going to be a late night, and I've got to get up early. So, this video don't need a drag. I mean, I've said what I need to say. Look, it's up to you guys. Do you think it's worthy of a scientific study? I think so. In fact, I'm actually surprised that after 50 years of using plastics that we haven't actually done a study on plastics on the human body. Really surprises me that we're not looking into microplastics. And it really surprises me that people don't want to admit truths or just say how it is. Because in science, you're supposed to just say, these is what we observed. Like, this is what happened. That's what we observed. That's what the facts say. We're not here to put a political opinion on it. We're just telling you what we've seen, how we tested it to get that result. That's the whole point of science. You're not supposed to have a bias, but because of politics and money, obviously that's not the case. We're not allowed to actually say what anything these days. Apparently everyone gets offended because of the plastics. But anyway,